The headlines today are just crazy. It's enough to make your head spin and give you a big old headache.
Don't take the bait.
We'll show you how to not take the bait next on FutherMore.
Greatness shows up after you're tired. Let's say it one more time, man. Greatness shows up after you're tired, not when you're tired. And breakthroughs don't happen until you reach your breaking point. Been there many times, man, at that place I didn't want to go on, and I realized that strength can't develop until your strength is gone. You got to keep pushing, because character and courage is developed or lost when you decide to keep going or to give up. You see, that's the point. You got to stop, and you got to realize that's your breakthrough coming right there, because when others that are around you won't, you will be the one that goes ahead. Somebody has to step up and go a little bit farther. Is that somebody you? How many says that's me? I want to go a little farther.
Welcome to our show, FutherMore. You're going to find education, motivation, and inspiration. I'm Dr. Mark.
And I'm Dr. Michelle, and we're here to push you and encourage you to go a little further in all aspects of your life, to do more and become more than you ever thought possible.
So education is the key, and information is king, but wisdom will always remain the same. So prepare yourself for the latest news and hottest headlines.
Truth bombs, amazing guests, relevant and impactful information, and life-changing plans. You are being prepared for the best days of your lives.
Yep, you know what to do. Buckle those seatbelts and put those tray tables in the upright position and prepare yourself for the greatest journey of your life.
Right here, right now.
On FutherMore. Welcome to our show, folks. We're so excited and pumped up that you're here. And as we always say, we're here to push you and encourage you to go a little bit further in every single aspect of your life.
We hope to propagate hope. We call ourselves hope dealers. We also encourage you to take better care of your health, and also make sure you maintain and don't lose all of your personal freedoms.
Tell you what, sometimes when I think about the freedoms that are eroding, I think about the tool of fear being used to take away your freedom. Do you know that fear is the greatest motivator to destroy a person's life? And the best way I know that you can propagate fear is when you control the mainstream media. In other words, you control the narrative. How do they do that? They do that by manipulating these headlines, these head-spinning headlines that bring so much confusion and so much angst to every part of your life. You just can't wait to click on it because you're thinking to yourself, that can't be true. Well, the truth is, some are true, some aren't true, and some, a little bit of both. But we're going to take you through some recent headlines that just frankly blew our mind, right? And we're going to talk about those today, and we're going to give you an idea of how both sides of that can work, either for you or against you. So are you ready to dive in some head-spinning headlines?
I am, and maybe it will give you an idea of how often you take the bait.
Okay, so here's the first headline, and this is a recent one. And I'm going to quote, as you can see right there on the screen, nearly half of young adults are living at home with their parents, spending more on luxury goods. Report. And it says the subtitle, only 1 in 5 millennials living at home say their parents charge them rent. Of those, nearly half were paying less than $500 per month. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, independence fosters one's ability to be self-reliant, self-sufficient, to be able to do what is necessary to create a fulfilling life for oneself and one's family. Have we lost our value for independence and the desire to obtain the ability to be self-sufficient?
You know, I think so. And I think the interesting thing is, if we can pull that headline up one more time, I want to sort of paraphrase that in a different way, right? And this is interesting. Think about what I just said. If I rephrase it like this, nearly half young adults are living at home with their parents, who are really their friends and juveniles, spending more on luxury goods. Report, being as lazy as possible. That's what that headline's saying, isn't it?
Well,
in effect.
Essentially, yes. They're just at home playing video games, investing in their own luxuries while their parents are paying or footing the bills, having parties on their parents' dime, if you will, and not really investing in their own personal future, their education, and how they can actually help make the world a better place.
Well, number one, that's not parenting. And so I blame a lot of it on the parents themselves for creating a scenario where that's even happening. When a person becomes 18, guess what? That's defined as an adult. And you have to do adult things like pay your bills. And interestingly enough, in this, they're playing video games, probably in their parents' bedroom, using their parents' TV with their parents' handheld devices that the parents paid for. The parents aren't being parents, they're being friends. Parents, you have ties to be friends later, but you have to be parents. If you create a scenario where these children are allowed to become children and never become adults, right? You're creating a perpetual society of juveniles that are going to live in an entitlement sort of generation. Do you see that happening right now?
We see that happening a lot right now where people don't want to show up to work. They don't want to show up to work on time. They want to leave early. They want to have longer breaks. They want to be paid for breaks. They want to be paid to educate themselves off hours. We see all kinds of things becoming a habit and a pattern where everybody gets a trophy. Everything is a win. You don't have to work hard to be at the top anymore. It's just we're all equal.
Why are kids staying at home? They're staying at home because they're not motivated. Why are they not motivated? Because nobody gave them a reason to be motivated.
What about food?
When I was growing up, I was told to set goals. And so I would set a goal up here. And when I set the goal up there, sweetheart, right here,
Yes.
my job was to reach that goal or surpass that goal. But that goal wasn't easy. An example in school, I would try to make an A in the class, right? Not a B or a C. In other words, my goal was an A. But when we allow that bar of expectation to be lowered from an A to a B to a C, and if I get a C, I'm good, we lose the ability to be motivated for excellence. And excellence will never arrive if you don't pursue those goals that are higher than you can achieve. An A is the only way. Got more headlines coming up, though, don't we?
We certainly do. Set your expectation at an A.
So, we'll be right back after this wonderful, awesome word about kingdom fuel. What is that? Wait and see. Here you go. This is not something that is a Mark idea and a Michelle idea. This is a God idea. This thing right here has a 2-year shelf life. When we think about the problems we have in America with our food supply, what are we going to eat? What are we going to do? Stock up on something that's going to help you. This is organic pea protein, greens and reds, fibers, and multivitamins and minerals. It will stay good for 2 years. How many have wondered what you're going to eat if things go south? Kingdom fuel right here. We cannot continue as we are. The trajectory of our nation is going in the wrong direction. It is not saved by the government. It's saved because the people are the government. They stand up and do the right things, regardless of the cost. I think of our founding fathers, the 56 people that signed the Declaration of Independence. 56, not 5,600. They had to have some courage and guts to put their life on the line for the right things. Do we have that, folks? Do you have that? How many have that kind of courage? I think my wife has that kind of courage. I know I do, and we do it together, right? We're not afraid to tackle things, and we're tackling this very difficult subject and confusing subject tonight called head-spinning headlines. And we just talked about one in the first segment that talked about more juveniles or young adults are living at home right now than ever before, and they're not paying rent. 1 in 5 don't. But now we're going to progress to another headline. This is one of these ones, these head-spinning headlines, that these non-associated links are linked together. What do I mean by non-associated links? Check out this headline right now about the unvaccinated. You want to read that headline?
Unvaccinated people were 72% more likely to be involved in a severe traffic crash, according to a new study. And the authors theorized that people who resist public health recommendations might also neglect basic road safety guidelines.
So the inference here is that if I choose to be unvaccinated, therefore the likelihood exists that I'm going to choose to not stop at a red light. I'm going to choose to go through the red light. Does that even make sense?
Is that clickbait?
That's more than clickbait. That's idiocy. The discussion always goes, well, you could actually take it one step further. The unvaccinated, when driving a car, are more likely to get in a wreck with someone else. What is that? The bottom line is it the car's fault? And how do they know they're unvaccinated? What does unvaccinated have to do with anything about decision making behind the wheel?
I think that's good headlines.
Oh, I think so. I think the unvaccinated are more likely to commit crimes too, because that's where we're going with that, right? The unvaccinated are more likely to steal. How about that? But what about this? What if I flipped it around and said, well, the vaccinated are more likely to visit the hospital, thereby costing taxpayers more money? Wait a minute. Is that a headline? Could be. The vaccinated are more likely to get in a wreck while they're driving to the pharmacy to get a vaccine. Is that the car's fault, or is that because they're going to the vaccine pharmacy? I'm not sure. These lack of associations here are very common in our world. You could also go this. You could say the unvaccinated are more likely to fly on a plane. Okay, what does that mean? These associations here are not connected, and we see it all the time. Like in medicine, for example, you'll see studies that really associate this with that. You'll see things like where if you take this pill, this illness is less likely to happen. But they won't tell you that this illness, for example, is driven by other things besides the pill. So really, what does the pill have to do with the illness? Not very much. So we see these association headlines that make no sense. When I saw that headline, I'm going to click on it. 72% unvaccinated are more likely to get in a traffic accident. I'm going to click on that. I'm interested. I'm like, how do they know? And what makes severe? Remember, I used to be a police officer, and I never remembered asking anybody if they're unvaccinated. Had you been drinking? That was probably a fair question, wouldn't it be?
Absolutely. And it doesn't make any sense when you legitimately read through an article like that. It's not logic. However, those things do draw a lot of attention.
They're trying to control the way we think about things, folks. The media, when you control mainstream media, and I talked about this at the top of the show today, you can drive a narrative of fear, propaganda, truth. You can drive any narrative you want, depending on which way you want to steer the bus. And the bus is full of people. We are the people. So this idea is not about whether vaccines are good or bad. That's irrelevant to the question. The relevance is what measures are the government and mainstream media taking to steer a narrative in a direction that makes us believe that the unvaccinated cause more car wrecks that create more severe damage to the car and the people. That doesn't make sense. We're right back here to this idea of big government, big food, and a big drug, and even big church controlling the things. We have got to begin to think for ourselves, folks. These head-spinning headlines, they could give you a headache, all right. And we're not done yet. We got one more coming up after this special truth bomb that you don't want to miss. But you don't want to miss this truth bomb either. Stay right with us. We'll be right back.
Drugs, and more drugs. Everywhere you turn, you hear about drugs. You hear about them during your favorite television show, sporting event, or even interrupting any broadcast for that matter. The repetitive frequency of this marketing propaganda makes one wonder if we were actually born with drug deficiencies. Good news is we're not. No one is born with a drug or vaccine deficiency. We develop nutrient deficiencies because we don't consume real food, which does lead to disease processes. Instead of looking for a pill for an ill, we should start looking for what may be missing in our nutritional intake. Listen, the standard American diet kills. How about making better decisions about what we consume? Here's to having a salad.
I've experienced tremendous hurts in my younger years. Abandonment, abusive relationships, career ending, injury, and even homelessness. Yes, really. For a long time, I let resentment and unhappiness pile on and keep me from moving forward. So right now, I just want you to know one thing. It's not too late for you.
I'm really glad that we shared that little moment with you, Dr. Michelle, and that, kind of motivational commercial that we just got out of, because a lot of people are hurting today, man. There's a lot of depression going on, a lot of, tough times going on. We're talking about these head spinning, head scratching, headache giving headlines. There's plenty of them. But have you heard about the Medically Assisting in Death program in Canada? MAID, M-A-I-D, Medically Assisting in Death. Check out this crazy, crazy headline.
Canada's MAID program is becoming, yes, I said becoming, the same type of abject evil I saw at the Holocaust History Museum in Jerusalem. The Holocaust Museum in Jerusalem is one of the most frightening places that's ever been seen.
Yeah, it's interesting. This headline talks about this MAID program, and when you think about the MAID program, it's being used under the idea of saving people money. Why does it save people money? Well, if you allow people to die, or you help them die, or help them commit suicide, let's just call it, you help them with murdering people, you're going to save people money because no longer are they on the taxpayer bill. I don't know why this is not honored within the criminal justice system, for example. When somebody gets the death penalty, that's actually a worthy penalty. Why are we talking about that? We keep housing them in line to have all these appeals. Okay, that's due process. Where is due process in this, folks? Check out this headline, again, from Canada about money saving.
Canadian editors use dire warning over a major push for assisted suicide featuring on clothing ads.
Now, this is really sad. Now, we're going to show a video right now, and I want to warn you before we do, it's extremely disturbing. So just prepare yourself, because we feel the responsibility. You need to see this. Now, this is done under the Medically Assisting in Death program in Canada to try to entice people that this is good. And they've also told you going to help, save taxpayer money, right? And by the way, this is also legal in 10 states in the United States. You don't hear about that in headlines, do you? Crazy. Just relax. Again, disturbing, but watch this video right now.
Last breaths are sacred. When I imagine my final days, I see bubbles. I see the ocean. I see music. Even now, as I seek help to end my life, there is still so much beauty. You just have to be brave enough to see it.
So this commercial by a clothing manufacturer is being used as a hook to talk about the beauty in assisted death. Now, this is a disturbing concept. Why is this getting to this point? And in Canada, it's not just about those people anymore, and this is interesting, that had this condition that's an incurable illness with a terminal prognosis. No, this is about now people that can go to the doctor and say, I'm having a bad day, I'm depressed, and they can request these drugs that end their life. There's no waiting period. There's legislation going out right now that says a person can same day do that. They don't have to think about it for 2 weeks. How disturbing is that?
It's extremely disturbing. I went through a lot of really rough times in my own personal life. I could have chosen to check out if that was legal in Oklahoma. Also, I had a mother who suffered for 15 years. And, wouldn't it have been nice to see that go away a little bit easier? I don't know. That's not biblical.
Yeah, it's a hard one. And I think we would be nuts. I mean, we've talked about that before, about if I get to this point, what would you want to do? Right. And that's being honest. But to make it mainstream and make it first line is utterly criminal, and it's utterly, unbiblical. It's not God's way. He can still create a miracle. He can still heal up diseases. He can take you out of your depression. He can take you out of your pit. He can take you out of your trauma, your drama, and he can give you a new place in life, a new outlook on life. Sometimes it takes some time. Give it time. These conditions we're talking about are not going to create a change, if you will, in a 24-hour period. We should not be able to make this decision like that rashly, and to think that it's okay for us to randomly, just based on our own opinion, end our life when we want. Well, you know, my mother committed suicide and we didn't help her. It's a decision she made. But that wasn't a good thing. It creates so much pain. And I get it. I really do. We've talked about this openly, the idea of someone in a terminal stage of life and not want to suffer. I really get that. But this is a dangerous trend we're starting when we tag that isolated case into money savings for people. That is utterly shameful. It's shocking. It's more than head spinning.
Well, it definitely is more than head spinning. And it doesn't need to become one of the tools on the list that people have if they're having a bad day, if they're dealing with things like depression or anxiety, or just want to escape.
I remember back in the days, I wanted to escape these crazy headlines. Back in the days, there was funny headlines. There was guys like David Letterman and Jay Leno and Johnny Carson who made fun of headlines. We just decided to go back and, as we get out of these head-spinning headlines, to get back to some funny ones, the way it used to be. Maybe these don't make your head scratch, but they sure do give you a good laugh. Check some of these highlights out from Jay Leno.
Home for the fourth pet show. I like the little underline thing. Request live pets only. Please, you know, if you have a dead pet, don't go dragging it into the show, whatever you do. Shalom Kosher Quality Butcher. Apparently, I guess, is Jewish chicken different? Look, I'm not familiar with this. It's a coupon for four-legged chicken. Sort of rare. I don't know what that is. Look at this one. Oh, I gotta hold it up. It says, Skip Kincaid, a forest consultant from Kirkwood, used his global positioning satellite receiver last week to pinpoint the location of a tree. You know, you might want to look over your left shoulder, Skip. You know, here's a typical thing of the times we live in. It says, get rid of birds, bats, and squirrels without harming them. Look at the underline. Not harmful. They just hate the odor and move on to your neighbor's yard. Isn't that nice? Lovely. Send them over to your neighbor's yard. Just move them on. Prep star comfortable entering draft. $12 million shoe contract precedes player's first NBA basket. Gee, who is that player? Can we go on his name? He's first last name. There he is. First last name. Chuck E. Cheese. Could these people be any chintzier? Look at this. Chuck E. Cheese, free tokens, large pizza, $19. Look what you get. Free air conditioning. Shut up. I like this one. County fair and rodeo draw large crowds. Look at the caption. People come from all over to enjoy the rodeo. Have you seen anybody? Do you see one person enjoying the rodeo?
Nobody
Is there anybody there? You know, the newspaper's just telling me more than I need to know. This man is a genuine hero in Gulf War. It says, see, it says, a sweet taste of freedom comes to captured Harrier pilot and fellow prisoners. Now look at the caption. Get out of the caption. Look at the caption. Berryman and his wife, Lee, who was expecting triplets, 3 boys, later this summer, like her dad, they'll be circumcised. Do I need to know that, really? I mean, the man is a hero. Do I have to know that?
If we could only get back to those headlines, you know. I read a wonderful scripture in a great book called the Bible, which is known as what?
The basic instructions before leaving Earth.
Laughter is good medicine for the soul. And it's interesting that the great attacker of the soul is anxiety or uncertainty or fear. And man, we got to get rid of these crazy headlines and bring in some good stuff. Speaking of good stuff, next week we're going to come back and we're going to give you some great power couple tips. What are the things that keep our marriage alive and keep it healthy? for you couples out there, for you soon-to-be couples, for you want-to-be couples, for you married couples. It's for you. We can't wait for that.
Stay tuned. Stay with us. We can't wait to see you next time on FutherMore.
Don't miss it. Power couple tips up next. See you next time.
To make America God's again, heal America's heart, and then raise our flag to the stars again. God bless the U.S. Amen. Make America God's again. Heal America's heart, and then brothers, sisters, and our children. God bless the U.S. Amen. Shake America, wake America, make America God's again.
This is not something that is a Mark idea and a Michelle idea. This is a God idea. This thing right here has a 2-year shelf life. When we think about the problems we have in America with our food supply, what are we going to eat? What are we going to do? Stock up on something that's going to help you. This is organic pea protein, greens and reds, fibers, and multivitamins and minerals. It will stay good for 2 years. How many have wondered what you're going to eat if things go south? Kingdom Fuel right here.